Doesn't that make you misty?
In today's review, we're going to take a look at the Rolex 124300. This is the Oyster Perpetual 41. Oyster in reference to the fact that this is waterproof. We have a screw down crown, double gaskets in the crown. Perpetual in reference to the fact that we have an automatic in-house movement. And 41 is creatively designated by Rolex here because it's not 41 millimeters in diameter. It comes in nominally at 39.5 millimeters of diameter. Not that this specific watch needs any more demand, but that smaller size opens it up to a wider range of wrists. Perhaps those of you that enjoy a smaller wearing sports piece. If you think about it, a dial-dominant non-diver sports watch at 41 millimeters might just sound too dominant, too large to wear every day. But 39.5, I think, is the sweet spot for a lot of individuals. It's thin, it's trim, it's comfortable. It really disappears, and you kind of forget that you're wearing this watch. It's effortless to wear, and it's also versatile. This doesn't look out of place with shorts and a t-shirt going to the beach, and it also doesn't look out of place with slacks and a sport coat going to a business meeting. You really could wear this in almost any situation, and it would be at home, and it would be accurate and reliable and anti-magnetic, and I like that. If you just wanted one good watch and you didn't need a date, this would be an excellent candidate at that GADA type watch. And so that aside, let's go back to the dimensions here. 42.2 is the overall diameter if you include the crown, the screw down crown at the 3 o'clock position. 47.5 millimeters is the lug to lug dimension, 11.8 in overall height to the top of the proud sapphire crystal flat. Sapphire crystal. We have a 21 millimeter lug width and a dramatic taper down to 15.5 millimeters at the clasp. And I like this taper. I know not everybody enjoys a dramatic taper, but there's something aesthetically sharp about seeing this Oyster case with the wider lugs and how that transition between the lugs to the bracelet just looks more seamless and more cohesive, I find this very comfortable. And if this had a non-tapering bracelet or a not as dramatic tapering bracelet, I don't think it would be as comfortable or as aesthetically pleasing. So I do enjoy that. I do enjoy the 100 meters of water resistance, and I really enjoy the movement here, the new movement within the case. It's far different from the 3130. This is called the 3230, and it's based off of the 3235. Essentially, they're the same movement, just without the date complication. It's been in production since 2020, and it's more than just a slight refresh of the previous caliber. There have been multiple patents filed in the creation of this new movement. There have been quite a few changes, even down to how the rotor attaches to the movement. We have the Chronenergy escapement, which not only is more efficient, up to 15% more efficient than the previous escapement system, but this is also crafted out of a nickel phosphorus alloy, which is going to be completely impervious to magnetic flux, and I enjoy that as kind of a geeky watch enthusiast. Now, this will also have an alloy for the hairspring that will be impervious to magnetic flux that Rolex refers to as a parachrome hairspring. The balance is a free-sprung balance system anchored in 2 different positions, so that is great with resisting shock. We have a variable inertia regulation system, which essentially means we have small screws within the balance that if you screw in or screw out a little bit, you can change the inertia of the balance and thereby regulate the movement. We have Paraflex shock absorbers, a 70-hour power reserve, a Breguet over coil, 31 joules, a 4 hertz beat frequency, and this movement is certified by the COSC, so it is a chronometer, and that is done with just the movement, not in the watch, not cased. And then Rolex cases the movement, and they do their own testing that they call a superlative chronometer designation, which you guys can see here on this Sunray dial. And so that certifies that this watch will be accurate to a window of +2 to -2 seconds per day. Now, I know not everybody geeks out about the tech features of a movement, but that's one of the things that I appreciate. And so I like the architecture here. I like all the features of being completely impervious to magnetic flux, having a good power reserve, being great with resisting shock, having that Breguet overcoil. I think there are a lot of things to enjoy about this. Even though the movement isn't classically beautiful, I wouldn't want to see it through an exhibition window in the back of the watch, but I can appreciate how reliable it is and how I can take it again in almost any type of situation. Now the watch will carry chromalite lume in white gold applied markers. We have white gold stick hands. We have a white gold coronet at the 12 o'clock position. And in low light, it really looks balanced. We have double markers at the 3, the 6, and the 9 o'clock positions. And chromalite does have a longer life or half-life than a Superluminova BGW9. So again, good lume, legible, beautiful. It's got the wrist presence. Obviously, Rolex, you might feel differently about the brand. You might love the luxury aspect, the exclusivity aspect, or you could hate how hard they are to come by. I mean, there are different opinions here, a lot of factors that come into play when it comes to appreciation and when it comes to availability and when it comes to allocation. I'm not going to touch on that as much in this video. I'd like to focus more on the watch because there are so many things that, can cloud people's view of Rolex for the good or for the bad. And I think more often than not, we forget that they make a dang good watch that is dang easy to wear in almost any situation. And I don't want to lose sight of that. Even though this is a mass-produced watch, it's not anything horologically super exciting, I guess you could say. You could buy some awesome watches for the $6,000 retail price from other brands. You could buy even more awesome watches for the roughly $10,000 price that this goes for on the secondary market. So again, I'm not touching too much into that. I just think this is a great piece that you could wear almost every day in almost any situation, depending on the area of the world that you live in and what activities you engage in. It's a very easy watch to wear. And I like that. I like the fact that this sunray dial that carries this lovely graining, the color is transferred via PVD application. In some lights, it looks deep, it looks dark, it looks slightly muted. In other lights, it's bright and it's vivid and it's vibrant. And really, I think Rolex can do blue very well, and this is going to be a good one. I have to say, the previous OP39 in blue that carried the lime green accents, I like when brands are a little bit playful or experimental, but personally, I saw nothing but the Seattle Seahawks jersey anytime I looked at that previous blue watch, and so I like this. I think it's cleaner, I think it's more elegant, I think it's more understated, and I think more people will enjoy this size and this color execution. There are a lot of other options too. They are all hard to come by, but you can go playful, you can go bold, you can go a little bit more dressy. There are some good options here. And if you want to maybe purchase a different OP in a different size, you could maybe match with a significant other, get matching watches. And I think there's something alluring and appealing to that aspect personally. Now let's talk about any potential negative elements here. I think Rolex, if you wear Rolex, you could make yourself a target because these are so in demand. There are people that will rob you, that will attack you just to get the commodity on your wrist. And so to a degree, you need to be careful when you're wearing a watch. I know most people don't notice the watch that you're wearing, but there are some really bad individuals out there that are scoping, that are looking to find these types of watches. And so that is something to be aware of. It's a dark side of the hobby. But, more on the watch specifically, I think there is one thing that I would like to see, and that is a good layer of anti-reflective treatment on the underside of the crystal, because this is a beautiful dial, and it's more of a sports piece than I think a dress piece that doesn't necessarily need the ARC. You want a little bit of light play and reflections and shine, but with this, I'd like to see some ARC. I know that's not something Rolex traditionally does, but I think it could be, an improvement here with this specific model. But other than that, great bracelet, great adjustability, great dial details, great movement. I believe this will stand the test of time. It won't look dated. It won't age poorly over the decades. And it is of a quality that you could pass it down to future posterity. and it would look awesome on, future generations, their wrists, so to speak. So guys, let me know if you have any specific questions about the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41, the 124300. Let me know which of the awesome dial colors you most enjoy. I have a hard time because I like most of them, but this one is particularly beautiful and attractive in this blue application. And I'd like to thank my friend Mike, who lent me this watch. We actually traded watches for a week. I lent him my Cartier Tank, and he lent me this OP41. We're going to switch back here in a couple days, but thank you, Mike, for the opportunity to film this lovely watch. It really is a great piece with very little drawbacks, I think, as an overall model. So thanks again for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.